brother, the bold and the beautiful, the beneficent, benevolent, bold, bifocal brotherhood of the BMD network. So my brother Trey is with us tonight, as always, holding it down with me. How you doing, sir?
What's up, brother Benny? How you doing, man? Can you hear me
I am
well?
doing well. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm just holding it down to them Texas boys. You know, them Texas boys always running late. So, you know, I got to clown those, you know, I got to clown them so that I here. But certainly we love Shawnee and Dante. Hopefully they'll be here. Hopefully they'll be here shortly. But yeah, talking about this NBA draft, which just kicked off. Actually, on my on another screen here, I have the picks. Then so Atlanta, they get the number 1 pick, and so they're on the clock right now. And again, this guy Melvin Angica out of France is projected to be the number 1 player coming out. And I'll be honest, I know last year with Wemby, everybody was chasing him because again, it's kind of hard to miss a guy who's 7'3" and who can play like a guard sometimes. So certainly I saw a lot of the buzz going in. I haven't heard anything regarding that, but the first pick is coming up. So we're about to find out who that first pick is. So I might as well just hang on. So we're going to be a little live tonight. So again, we're going to be following some of this action while also talking about the major topics that we have for the show. And so it looks like, yes, indeed. Actually, they picked Zachary Rasher.
Yeah,
Zachary Rasher. I'm trying to find his stats right now. Again, not very familiar with this guy, but let me see if I can look up his stats. And but you know, the Atlanta Hawks, I think they also have a decision to make whether or not they want to keep Trae Young so again, another French player, 6'9", 215. He's another forward. So again, it seems like with college basketball, it's like the French guys. France is now the new place where all the top NBA prospects are coming from. So Trey, what do you think about that? I mean, what's going on with this international, with France and these picks coming in, and you know, what do you have to say about this trend that guys are going, going elsewhere to find number 1 talent, not just top talent, number 1 talent. What do you think's going on here?
You know, well, unless this guy proves that he can average 20, 25 points a game, it is what it is with, you know, the players coming from overseas. A lot of them do have 4 or 5 years experience already coming to the NBA. It's just the limitability of the actual players to play basketball in a professional manner in those other countries.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be something that lasts. Well, it's hard to say because now players get NIL coming out of college. There's no commitment from players to really stay in one place. So I think the NFL is just going to evolve to that capacity. You know, they don't have to rely on U.S. players anymore. So they're just going to continue to operate in that manner. I think some guys, when they get to college, just probably be their last little go around to play ball, because if they bring in more international players, then I believe a lot of these big money players, they're going to figure it out eventually. So
yeah. But what do you think? This also brings into question you just mentioned about the NIL and those deals. Do you think it's actually, in a way, it's hurting? I think it's great for the football players, but I don't know if it's necessarily helping the basketball players to the same extent. Again, there's like no buzz going into this draft, which again I can't ever remember seeing that. We used to look forward to the lottery, seeing them balls bounce around and who was going to get the number 1 pick, and everybody kind of knew who the number 1 pick was going to be. And now it's like you're going to have a lot of, probably very good players. I'm not saying these guys aren't talented, but the marketing, I think, I don't know if it's the NBA to be blamed for that or the NCAA, but the fact that, we're talking about Bronny James as being one of the top prospects coming out of college, and he's not even going to be a first rounder. Someone's fumbling the ball here in my view. I think it's great for college basketball, but I can't see college football. But I can't see how this helps college basketball. They're going to have to change change the model here, or the marketing or something, because I'm going to be naming a bunch of people here that I know very little about tonight, because there's just no following. So what do you think can help in that situation?
I mean, I think they should follow the football model in a sense because, you know, see, outside the United States, players can play professional at 16, 17, 18 if they fit the mold to play. If their body can hold up, then they can play professional. In America, you got to go to college to get to that route, which I
Mm,
think is good in a sense, but to help to me, where you can get these quality players that really get a chance to shine, make it like football. You got to stay 3 years before you can come out. You getting NIL money. I mean, my thing is, what do you look? What's most important to the student athlete? I thought it was a student athlete, not just an athlete at the school. Because if you
right.
get opportunity to get an education and then get paid on top of getting an education, why would it be bad to stay till you 21 going on 22? In that way you have a little more maturity. Players can grow a little bit better playing under, but also I can see from the players' point of view, because if they're gonna be allowed the freedom to transfer, and that's why I think it's gonna hurt the NCAA, the transfer portal,
Hmm.
because you can't build a program,
Right.
just
At least, like I said, now with basketball, I mean,
hey,
football, you got 49, 50, 60 players or whatever.
yeah,
Basketball, I just don't think it travels. I mean, I was talking about just before you came on, this year, the women took over. We were talking about Reese and Caitlin Clark and South Carolina and whatnot. I paid a lot more attention to the women's game this past year, certainly than the men's game, because again, you have rivalry, you have players going at it multi-year. I don't see how college basketball, as far as the rating and what they command, also. I mean, in terms of the money, I'm not saying it's not going to be as popular, but how they're going to command the kind of money, if are they going to be able to bring in the revenues that they were doing before through viewership? But again, we grew up in a time when, again, the viewership was based on rivalry, Georgetown versus St. John's, or North Carolina and Duke, and all those programs. It's like the guys stayed around for so long. It's like you knew the names for a while, but
yeah.
I think the game changed to, like, personality or the players. And so I don't know if Duke, North Carolina carries the same weight as it did back in the 80s and 90s, and in the time in 2000s, when we were really into it.
I mean, but you're right in a sense. But again, this modern, it's not listen. I don't blame the players at all for this
Hmm.
philosophy. Take
Right.
advantage. I don't.
Oh, yeah, yes. It's not about the players, and I
But
would not
but
never
how
put
can
any
you have
blame
a
on. Yeah.
rivalry? How can you have a rivalry if after my freshman year I transfer, and I'm going with the money, because some players are going to greatly improve from freshman year to sophomore year. You're going to see tremendous jumps. I believe it's going to help and get the players a little bit more focused about conditioning and being prepared. I think that's going to elevate. I think the game is going to elevate because now players have one shot to prove that they can play and that they can make it. See,
Hmm.
normally you can sit and wait your turn out. If you consider one of those players that's going to transfer to a larger program, you have to be prepared when you go. You
Right.
can't go there and sit. These players don't transfer to sit on the bench. They transfer to play. And in a sense, I can see it, but I don't know. They downplayed it. I think you can see they trying to give the WNBA something to hang their head on.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you ain't really heard about the NBA. Listen. I ain't know it was a draft coming up till they damn near dropped the balls a couple. I'm like, damn, the
Yeah.
draft is here, but they
Yeah.
already done
Just
drafted.
just FYI, the second pick is in, and it's another French player, Alex Sarr, Sarr. He's a center. He played with the first round draft pick, Zachary. So again, you got two guys. Actually, I'm sorry, he played for Australia. No, he's from France, but he played for Perth in Australia. But both French. But he played ball with Zachary, I guess, before they went to the other teams. But again, so the first two players in the NBA draft are both foreign players from France. One played in France, one played in Australia. So,
Based
so
off this, did you see his stats for last year? this goes to show how they really, American basketball is watering itself down because I've been to some AAU games, and believe me, these guys can't shoot. They can't do shit. They come in with a couple of little ugly ass jump shot forms and think that they doing something. If you 6'8" and you can average 12 points today, they consider you a top pick. This guy
Hmm.
averaged 9 points, and
Mm.
now he's second in the draft. A brother
Yeah.
coming out of college, you're gonna have to average 17, 18 points,
Hmm.
20. So it's just I don't know. It's just gonna be a trend. America. I think I heard some a couple of weeks ago doing the finals with with the commit. What is it? The commissioner Scheffler. What's his name? Adam. And he was
Yeah.
talking. He didn't. He was closed lip on the.
Silver. Adam Silver. Adam
Yeah,
Silver. Yeah.
he was closed lip on the foreign influence of basketball. He didn't give a lot of information, but I think you're going to
Hmm.
see it from today moving forward in the draft. You're going to see a great influx of foreign players.
Yeah, yeah, and this guy, he's played in multiple. He's played in the U.S. Again, he's played in Australia. He's played in France. So I mean, he's been well traveled. But for a lot of these guys, again, they're bypassing again traditional schools. So again, what is going to happen to the historic basketball programs that were built on brands that hey, what's going on, Shawnee?
So, fellas,
Hey man. So look, we're the second pick is in. The Houston Rockets are on the clock to get the pick, but here it is. The first two picks are French-born players. Nobody from the NCAAs, and we were just talking about before you got on here that this year I think I followed the women's game more so than the men's. So what has happened to the excitement? What happened to the buzz of having of the draft of having that guy? I think Wimby. I think everybody followed him last year because again he's sort of a unicorn, 7'4" and can has the ball handling and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know most of these guys who are going into the draft this year, and quite frankly from the networks and from everybody else, no one's been. I haven't seen anybody cross my TV screen that says, "Okay, he's going to be the next guy." Whatever. Every year it seemed like somebody was being promoted, but I haven't seen anything leading up to this draft. So what do you think is going on here with with the presentation and the marketing, and what do you think could be done about it? Because I think actually to a degree, I think especially now with NIL and whatnot, I think it's actually hurting the basketball. The football is fine. I think that it's been a big help for them, but basketball, I don't know if any of the moves between the one and dones and now with the NILs and whatnot, I don't know if and the NBA shopping overseas for talent, I don't know if that's necessarily helping the NCAA in the presentation of its product.
well, one, I think overseas players they're looking to be more because I don't know if they I don't know if they have any type of collegiate basketball overseas, but a lot of the young players be going to the pros they have overseas, so
Right.
they coming in more experienced. Um, I recognize this within U.S. born players. I think it's more of the one and dones because now before it was still players who was coming out of college a whole lot more developed that was in the NBA, and then they were developing their skills more as they became professionals. But
Right.
now those crop of players are getting older and getting out the league. Now you have the younger players now. A lot of those players who was one and done in college, it's their generation now. So they one and done, they chasing the money. Well, they come into the NBA, many times they just come into the league with athleticism. That's really their skill set is not really developed yet. Instead of developing in the college system, how they did in the pros, then you had some one-offs that was coming, in out of high school until they stopped that for several years. Well, they stopped it since LeBron. I think he was the last one that came out of high school.
Hmm.
Um, they were, like I said, there was players they developing in the pros. So you getting these higher players. I mean, now it's like the only player who really gets attention now was when as far as the draft is the number one pick. And that's if he has like Wimby did last year, this huge media presence or whatnot that's followed. Other than that, like this year, you know who the number one pick was going to be.
Yeah. Number
So
3 pick is in, just with the
yes,
Rockets, Reed Shepherd.
a
All
guard,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And I did hear analysts when I'm saying like this draft is you're not going to get the big names. So
mhm.
if you're trying to, but a lot of times in basketball, it's not really the big names. You just got to land on a team that will develop you. You hope you come with somehow develop and before you get a professional. But now they developing while they on the team, on the pro team. So it's just a lot of them just come unprepared. But that's the basketball we in now. That's
Mhm.
today's basketball. A lot of the older heads are getting ready to retire, and you know it's just basically the one and dones that want to get out of school quick and come into the league. Now that's why you're not seeing like it's taking longer for them to develop while they're in the pros because they basically doing on the job training with zero experience. But this particular job is fast paced.
Right.
So you got that teamed up now. You got coaches who don't really have any leeway to coach and develop players because they get fired like after 2 years. You got front offices now who are in this super team era who draft picks that they're not worth as much now. So they trade those left and right to acquire these established superstars, but they still not winning with them. So right
Right.
now the NBA is not in trouble, but the product, like you say, you just mentioned it
Well,
earlier,
like I said,
the
yeah, I
product
don't.
is not there.
Yeah, I don't think the NBA is in trouble. I certainly want to make that clear. I said the NCAA in terms
It's,
of I'm saying NCAA basketball. One, you're
yeah,
competing with overseas players who are getting the looked at for draft for the reasons that you're talking about, but also just going in. Like I said, the team names don't really matter anymore. Before you had rivalries. I think the reason why we paid so much attention to the women is because again that LSU Iowa rivalry from the year before, and then you add in then Dawn Staley, in terms of what she's doing, UConn's program with Oriema. So again, I think you need some stability. Like people want to tune in and kind of see familiarity. But if you have this turnover every year and there's no consistency, I think it'll be harder to go by just school brand alone. I think it's always been about marketing stars. And if the NCAA, I think if they really want to, and I'm also thinking about the money that they're commanding, because I don't know what the ratings were for the tournament this year, but I don't think they were very good. And historically, NCAA, the package, to buy and to telecast that product was always, pretty high. Like I said, I think the football product, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think they may command more money in the future. I just can't see college basketball commanding the type of money that they want. But nobody is watching or nobody cares until March Madness. And even then, it's like, I said this year it was overshadowed by the women's product. So I don't see who's,
Mr.
yeah,
Ben, I don't think college basketball is like ever going to be gone from sports. It's always going to be here, and it's always going to be televised. It's always going to be there because America, even if you saying looking at it now, it's at a limited state right now.
right.
You mentioned the fact that they're competing against the foreign players. That's just going to be the evolution of the NBA also to the future. But college basketball, as long as they got college students going to these campuses, it's always going to be a staple in
I'm
college.
I'm not I'm not I'm not denying that, but the way college basketball is run for the last 35, almost 40 years, has been the eyeballs watching the screen. You're right. The arena's going to be full. The college experience. Look, I went to Rutgers. I mean, we're barely making it in, but they pack out the rack like every game or whatever. So I get the college experience and all that. But you want to talk about packages, revenue ratings? Are these if not cable companies anymore, but these streaming services or wherever TV or viewership is going in the future, are they going to command those kind of dollars? If they're wanting 10 billion over 5 years or whatever, is that going to be worth the price tag? And say, now, but we'll give you five, or what have you. I'm just saying, what they typically have commanded or been able to command for viewership. I don't know if they're going to be in that position anymore to do so if the ratings are going to continue to plummet the way they have been over the last few years. So like I said, it's not the players' fault, and definitely, like I said, the NBA is not going to be hurt by this, but they got to do. I think they got to do something in order to. Fourth pick is in Stephen Castle from UConn, guard is with the fourth pick. So so just get that in. San Antonio, they're going to be on the clock, and I think they have both the fifth and the eighth pick. So they're definitely going to look see if they can build a team around Wembanyama coming up. So we'll see what kind of crew they put together. But that's what I'm saying. As far as from just the dollars and cents from a finance perspective, I can't see college basketball operating or enjoying what it's been able to operate at for the last 30 years. I can't see that continuing with given all those factors that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, you think hopefully maybe the NIL may encourage some players to stay a little bit longer in college.
Yeah.
Some players, if you're a star, you're gonna be a star. You obviously gonna get more money in the league, but
Right.
some players may not get that type of money in the league. So I mean, it's in college basketball. As soon as you, like you mentioned, people don't really watch no more. Now you gotta be like a super basketball head just to even watch it during the regular season.
Exactly.
So many times you'll learn a player in the March Madness. So as soon as you learn a player, well, they gone the next year. So you're like, well, I guess we got to find something
Yeah.
else to watch. Now the
Absolutely.
women, they don't have the one and done. That's how Caitlin Clark was able to get so big.
That's right.
She was able to her soft.
She
Did she
broke them.
graduate? Did she
She
come out
broke
her
the
junior
record.
year or senior year?
Senior.
I think
She
it's senior
broke.
year.
Yeah, she was.
So her name got bigger in junior. So the train was already rolling her junior, and then it just exploded in senior because she came back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was in the past. Because March Madness on both sides is where players make their names nationally.
Absolutely.
So as soon as you see them, next year you at the end of the season you see them walking across the stage, shaking the commissioner hands, going to the league.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't now I me personally I guess the the current status of college basketball, I guess the product they put in the court, because they've been going through this for several years now, so they probably I think they just bank a whole lot on March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
What's she doing? But see, but with the football, they the ones who because all their decisions are made so much about money, and because all these conferences getting realigned and player and teams going across, and that includes the basketball teams.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, because for example, since y'all you East Coast, Big East basketball was huge.
Oh yeah.
Big East basketball was huge.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Now
The
with the
the
moves,
Big East was essentially college. I
Big
mean,
East is
you can argue the
ACC.
ACC,
Yeah.
but it was the
Mhm.
Big East was dominant back in the day. I mean, that was the 80s. That was a different time.
And those were the schools primarily in that Northeast that was playing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the basketball, I mean, with the football programs and them moving conference stuff, well, they destroying these traditional rivalries.
Yeah.
Everybody just look at primarily the football teams, but it's affecting basketball as well. So now you already kind of you got a sport that's already kind of hanging on, trying to keep its audience during the regular season. But since football want to move around and get this money, well, now that you potentially disturbing the basketball world. So now they having challenges on top of challenges just to keep their product up.
Right.
So
I
yeah,
hear you.
I think it's a long thing that's going. I don't know how they're gonna fix it. Hell of a
Right.
job for the commissioner. So I don't know.
All right. Dante, man, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you guys. Man,
Likewise.
I see y'all. It looks like y'all were touching on basically the not knowing the players in the draft.
Yeah, what's going on, man? This is the first time in 40 something years since I've been watching college basketball that I was a little too young for Bird and Magic. I got into when those guys got into the NBA is when I got into it, but I didn't watch the Michigan State Indiana game, so I wasn't into it then. But I can't remember a time in recent years where at least you didn't know something. And the last year, Wemby was the big name because again he's like a unicorn, 7'4", can handle the rock, do all these kind of things or whatever. So I think there was a lot of buzz. I had no buzz on any of these guys coming in. We had the first 2 draft picks were players from France, right? So again, the international trend is also continuing, and you also have players that are playing with these sort of professional, semi-pro sort of basketball leagues in the U.S. as well. So really, we're talking about what does this mean for the college game? Certainly from a viewership standpoint. I mean, we talked about this last month. Like a lot of us were into the Caitlin Clark and Reese situation, or the Dawn Staley watching it certainly over the men. So what does this mean for the college game? I think the NBA is going to be fine. They're going to get their players and whatnot, and they know how to market and they know how to do stuff. But see, like with the NCAA on the basketball end, because I think the football end is going to be fine. I don't think that, because those guys are going to be there at least 3 years. So again, you're gonna that's not going to be touched. But with the basketball the way it is now, I don't know certainly if they're going to be able to command those deals, those TV revenue deals that they used to people used to pay hand over fist for. I don't know if they're going to be able to command those kind of dollars unless they do something. So just just your general thoughts on what are you seeing in the draft so far, and what just these moves that we're seeing. What do you think this means for the college game? Going forward. So what do you have to say on that?
To be honest, I caught in what Shawnee said about not knowing these guys, and you mentioned doing March. Shawnee, you have to meet these guys at the AAU gyms and the tournaments. That is where I know most of these guys from. Like the likely #1 pick next year, he was he's playing here in Texas at the Duncanville Hoop Fest, Hooper Flag, and it was just like it was packed out because people follow him on social media and they know him. He's a trash talker. He was like, they put those games on TV to push those players in. Like I want to see it's the Peach Jam, and there are a couple of tournaments this summer. You'll see it because I get the NBA TV updates, and they're like, oh, future. They were like, class of 2025, top recruit, and because they're gonna play 1 year, so they get a little exposure in like the the Maui Invitation on those big tournaments. They pump them there. Hopefully they make it to March, but with the trend of the teams winning, being older, they're out first round. So you're right, Johnny. You're right. Those guys are gone. You got to catch them, hear their name, and then you'll see them on draft night. But that's a problem for the league. They tried to solve it. The league is good about trying to solve problems, but they tried the G League Ignite. Like a kid from Texas is going to be in the draft tonight. Ron Holland, really good athletic wing. He took the G League Ignite route. But I think they've kind of hinted that they're going to phase out of that. They're going to try to do something else. I know they're still the overtime elites of the world, but I think the basketball powers that
he just got drafted.
Yeah, Ron Holland second, going to Detroit.
Okay, Detroit got another talented Texas player, so I wish them a lot of success. But yeah. I'll say this: they may need to sit down, and they've never done a good job of working with college basketball. They need to sit down and say, hey, you guys need to get some good NIL packages together. Try to get some of these guys to stay an extra year. And so if you get a guy that is going to leave after 1, maybe he stays 2 and he's a little bit more of a name. Maybe you get a guy that really needs to stay, 2 years, and maybe he stays a 3rd year and then he's more pro ready. Right. But it's kind of tough to be like, hey, you're going to be making this money, but you still got to go to school and you got to do these things. And where you have the overtime elites of the world, which is like, come make some money, come get some exposure. You get to be, because they're making the players professional so early in their lives. So it's just like, if you're making them feel like that, and then you got to go to college and these rigid rules, they want to go pro so they can make their own decisions, to be their own person, in the whole nine. So I think they need to make a collective effort to do it, because you got to have the money train coming. And it's still going to take the players some time to acclimate themselves when they get to the league.
Right.
But they're doing a good job, I would say, with the G League. But on the front line talent, the guys coming from first round pick to come and develop. Now there are teams that are putting teams in the right situation. If you look the last 2 years, the Mavericks had Derek Lively, who just came from Duke, who was supposed to be drafted higher but didn't have a great season. Got to development program working with Tyson Chandler. Good job of development. He's helping a team
Right.
that was in the finals.
Right.
Christian Braun from Kansas. And I know notice a theme here: the big time schools and guys that with Kansas won a championship or won championships, I believe. And he was with Denver, and it was a key role or was a rotation player. So it can happen, but I think sometimes the worst thing is some of these teams are just free falling, grabbing picks, and getting like a bunch of 19 and 20 year olds together. And it's just like,
Right.
you got to, I've heard many veterans say this, get some veterans on that team. Pay that veteran some money to come live in that city that might not be the most desirable. You're going to lose games. Come team. You can hear the Oakleys of the world, the Steven Jacksons of the world. You've heard all their stories. You'll be like, hey, they go to these places and try to change the mindset and talk to these guys. Like they had to pull Oakley from getting on guys for not doing stuff, but you need somebody to teach them that discipline. And it just needs to be they need to get together and come with a plan for it, and
Right.
to reach these guys because they have the talent, but you got to make them work and you got to teach them how to play at the big boy level because it's a physical game. It's a more physical game. You got to be smart, and I love it. Speaking of veterans, but I heard that story of KG talking noise when they were doing good, J.R. Ryder, and they were playing against George Bulls. He said it was like 6, 7 minutes went by. We're down 25 because he didn't
Right.
know like, hey, this is a grown man's game. You can't talk up like that when you're not at that level. And I think the more we can get guys to realize that the NBA tried with G League Ignite, they just need to try with something else. And but yeah, it was interesting seeing the top two players being the French kids, and that's real interesting that they got a looks like they got a factory in France right now. Want to see what they do
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the
It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. That. Let's switch topics a little bit. Again, the draft's going to be going on. If any highlight names come out, I know Charlotte Hornets are on the clock. We'll see. What's going on with that team. It seems like Charlotte seems cursed to me. Man, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe now that Jordan sold, maybe Jordan sold the team. Maybe their lot will get better. Maybe LaMelo can stay healthy, and maybe they can get some things going. But in any event, let's move on to the program. So again, obviously, since I know Dante, I know you're a big Lakers fan. So obviously, the Lakers didn't get their top guy. Didn't get Hurley from UConn, but certainly they went to JJ Redick. Now JJ, I know he was in early talks. I know his name was being bandied around early on in the process, and then they sort of went hard for Hurley. That didn't work out, so they went back to Redick. I watched most of his press conference, his introductory press conference to the Lakers. So, what do you think? How are you feeling about that? They're making that move because never coached on any level, from what I understand. So what do you think of his potential to be a good head coach in the NBA? And what do you see? The Lakers. What do you see them going with? Going in the future. And just FYI, the Lakers have the 17th pick tonight. And again, they also have the 55th. So again, the buzz going into the tournament, the only name we really heard about was Bronny. Where does he go? So if he's there at 55, then the Lakers may take him. So just give us just your general thoughts on JJ. Are you optimistic, skeptical? What's going on with you?
I would call myself out if I didn't start with this. Hey man, you started a podcast with LeBron James towards the end of the season. You got a job with the Lakers at the end of the season. That is a terrible look. No matter what he does, the optics of that is terrible. And so the whole LeBron narrative, I think, is as a fan, you want to say the controlling narrative. I will not fight you one bit because that is a bad look. That is just
Now,
like somebody
now,
said.
Dante, you blaming Redick or you blaming LeBron for that? Because Redick, I think, is just doing the podcast. He's
Reddick
always
was
doing
doing
the
the pod.
podcast.
Reddick was doing the podcast, and my thing is with LeBron. Like my brother always calls him. Sometimes it calls him the hand because he's so dominant. But he takes that hand and he kind of tries to move things and orchestrate things. And if I don't care what you say, that's what it looks like this time. You started. They're talking about basketball plays and breaking down stuff that a coach would do. So it's like it looks bad. First and foremost, it looks bad. I'll
And
say
Ham was on the
secondly,
hot
I
seat
am
at the time it started.
yeah,
Man,
yeah,
come
and I'm
on,
skeptical.
Devontae. Man, come on, man. Listen, you football players kill me about basketball, man. Listen, Jay. Okay, now him going to the Lakers. Listen, man. If you look at it, it can almost be playing, man. He retired the league. As soon as he got out of the league, he was doing commentary. A year
Yeah,
into commentary, they like how he evaluates the game, which I can understand. Now he's leapfrogging the whole line of potential head coaches. And ain't nobody said nothing about Mark Jackson. He still ain't gonna get a job.
yeah,
So
yeah. Terrible
I'm
move, like I
interested.
said.
I don't know, man.
And
I
Trey,
hope
there's been
JJ's
other
ready.
coaches who did that. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
Derek
everybody trying to
Fisher.
find their Steve Kerr.
I just
They
hope
try to find that those guys and they try to get that success with. He was a leader on the court and he knows the players and they want to grab him. Like I think they took Derek Fisher, fresh with no coaching experience. I know Doc Rivers. I think he coached some in the CBA, but he came from the broadcasting booth to and like that happens in the NBA. It's a different game where you're around the game and watching it, so they allow them to do that. But when you pull up things to what you said, Trey Ferg, when you pull up the resume of a Sam Cassell and then you put up his. It's one of those deals.
huh?
And I,
Hold up.
it just
Dante,
makes
hold
you
up.
think about
Sam Cassell, he was on winning teams. Sam Cassell was a champion.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you put up his resume, as long as he's been an assistant, and as far as now a championship level assistant, a championship level player, that's somebody that you would think has the pedigree to be a coach. But I'll say this. Um, I'll say this before I get off the tangent. It always looks bad for the league. Yeah, you have black head coaches, but a lot of them are former players. How many head coaches do you see, like Eric Spoelstra, who's a great coach, who came and worked his way up from the film room? Not a basketball player, but from the film room, a basketball junkie, mind for the game, work his way up. And you don't see that coming from the black head coaches have to be one of the 1% that make it to the NBA, and then one of the top percent that work their way up as an assistant and work their way up. That's a problem for the league. I can't even as a fan of the Lakers, I have to make that point. But I'm skeptical of it. I hope it works. It's one of those things where I hope it works, but I don't have a lot of confidence in it. Just because it's just so inexperienced and you're dealing with a guy with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers championship expectations. So it's going to be tough as the league is getting better and better as far as the moves that have been made. I'm not sure if y'all discussed those yet, but it's like, I like this plan of wanting to have depth and not the whole three stars that take up all your money and you just got those three and no depth. I want a team with depth that can have what you need probably about you need 10 guys. You need eight that's gonna play the bulk of the playoffs and two that are gonna play a series here, a series there in the right moment. So I hope it works out. I'm not gonna be super pessimistic and negative, but I got my eyebrows up. It's like, I hope there's the right pieces there, and I hope he can hit the ground running. That's what I'm
Mhm.
thinking. I'm thinking 3 years he might be something. He don't got three
Right.
years. 3 years
Right.
we'll be on another coach.
All
So
right. Shawnee, what are your thoughts on the move?
I mean, I understand some teams are trying to do stuff outside the box. Um, like JJ Redick, people are bringing up his lack of coaching skills, experience. I think the only thing he coaches was like his little boys basketball team, but nothing high
Mhm.
school, nothing college. Now already know, people know nothing professional. Haven't been an assistant coach, but it's not the first time. Like I mentioned, everybody looking for Steve Kerr. Jason Kidd was at one point was did that when he was with the Nets. Um, Steve Nash, his thing just went up in flames with Brooklyn. So it's not the first time, but I do wonder about like coaches like Sam Cassell who just been putting that work in for 15 plus years, just still waiting an opportunity. Sam
Right.
Cassell starting to remind me of the NBA version of Eric Bieniemy, but
Mm.
he can't really go nowhere. Bieniemy went to the Commanders to try to be an assistant coach and do his office thing. But then once they got a new coach staff over there, now he out the job, out of a job again. I forgot if he landed somewhere else or not. But yes, with Reddick, they thinking outside the box. I know people was talking about his recent press conference, and I guess he cussing and all this stuff on the press. But that's Reddick though. That's if you listen to Reddick, that's him. That's how he truly is.
Mm,
So he's a confident dude, no nonsense. It's just with the Lakers, man. They catering too much to LeBron,
mm.
and they biggest thing is just trying to find somebody who can. You always hear about LeBron's basketball intellect.
Wow.
It's high, and you saw it with Darvin Ham, how LeBron was basically taking over the huddles on the sideline and whatnot. So he's trying to find this coach that is, I guess, somebody that LeBron can respect, so he won't be kind of taking over, you know, conversation on the sideline and whatnot. I don't really know, but you see it because LeBron, this is what his ninth head coach in his career. Dude be changing head coaches. I remember people was getting
PJ.
on Giannis. Giannis was starting to get a bad rep for being a coach killer. Well, LeBron has been going to coach, multiple times this year too. He tried to get rid of Spoelstra in Miami. If it wasn't for Riley stepping in, even D Wade saying, "Nah, Spoelstra is that dude," and I guess nobody else want to do that. Um, I don't know if this time I really know if it's a LeBron thing, more of a Lakers thing, because Lakers was doing this even before LeBron got there. I think this is a six head coach since Phil Jackson.
Right.
So right now, the whole Lakers ground foundation is just unstable when it comes to head coaches.
Mm.
So you got a franchise that's unstable. They cater into a superstar player. I'm like, I don't know, but with Reddick,
Yeah.
it remains to be seen. I hope the dude does well, but man,
Yeah, definitely.
you
Yeah,
have to give
definitely
him
not.
your two
Yeah,
acknowledgement.
definitely not. And as much as I hate the Lake, I'm y'all are mortal enemies, so I can't stand the Lakers. But I do wish him well. The one thing he did mention, though, like I said, watching his in his press conference, do you think the role of the NBA coach has been changed? Because you also have my man Monty Williams. He also got fired, I think, out of I think it was
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year, so he's out. So, and and certainly he's been also known to have friction. I know when he was, I think with Phoenix, I think he was having issues with the point guard of the team, whatnot. So again, kind of contentious. But one thing that Reddick said that is that again, the ability to have relationships is it seems to be more important. It goes beyond X's and O's. If you can't relate to your players, if they don't believe that you have their backs or whatnot, you necessarily can't be a good head coach. So, are we saying just with the power that the players have, do you think the role of the traditional NBA coach, the X's and O's guy, is enough? And does he have a point in terms of he has a relationship? In fact, he said that these guys coming in, he was like, "Hey, coach," and it was like, "Look, don't even call me coach. I don't even know. I don't want you guys to call me coach. I want you to call me JJ." So
What?
so again, everybody. So that's so again. But is that going to be the trend in the future, where again the role of the coach is more your relationship skills versus your X's and O's skills, or you rely on your bench coaches or whatnot to handle the X's and O's? You just maintain a relationship. So is it more your relationship manager more so than an actual game time coach? Last 2 minutes, what plays you're going to call and that sort of thing. So and I don't know if Dante, you got a chance to see his introductory press conference when he talked about that. But what do you think about that? I mean, could this be a trend more so than just an anomaly, just the drama with LA?
I think you still got to have both. Because one of the biggest reasons about Darvin Ham, if you listen to anybody, if you watch the Lakers game, you watch the Lakers game, not just not even the national ones, but just the random Wednesday night game. You could see tactically he wasn't sharp enough at times. At times it was like I want to say last year's playoffs. You could see it in moments. It's like, okay, you caught that play or you made this adjustment. So that's the biggest thing for coaching. Everybody's got to know everybody's plays. Every now and again, you can draw up something really good, but you got to have a mix of relationships and tactical. But my thing is, I think JJ Redick, it seems like he's a sharp mind where he can probably draw up a good play. But how, like you said, he looks like he's gonna have a relationship. To me, calling him JJ Ad, that's not really my thing. It's just like, what's up, coach? I don't care how
Right.
old or how young you are. If you at this position, you have this
Mm.
name as coach. That's just how I was raised. Like
Right. Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I'm not really with that. I'm more old school in that standpoint.
Mm.
But I mean, I heard the press conference, and it's just like I was listening to the recap of it. It's like everything sounds good. Let me see how it looks next October. come October, let's see how things go, and let's see how you handle a two-game losing streak. And
Mhm.
let's just see how you put it together. It's kind of like I'm probably more so than ever relying on. Let's see what we do with this pick here at 17. I've heard. I know he visited with the Lakers. The guy from Purdue, Zach Edey. I know that he's visited. I'm worried about his. I like his size, but I'm worried about his feet quickness. And I'm thinking
Mhm.
every time he's in a game, they're calling pick and roll every time, and so
Yeah.
that worries me a little bit. But like I said, we'll see. Now, like I said, I'm gonna reserve most of the judgment. I just know that look, I don't have any track record to go off of.
I hear you. I hear
So
you. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Just following up on the NBA draft. So you had Charlotte with the sixth pick. They picked this guy, and this is his name, Charlotte Basket. Another French player, 6'9", from I'm sorry, that's the team. His name is uh, Tijani Sulan, but the
Mhm.
the team is Charlotte basketball. So this is in the top six NBA players in the draft have been French born players. I don't think that's ever happened in history.
Yeah.
So again, the trend continues, and then the that fifth pick, the guy Ron Holland, again, he came from I guess a G League scenario. So yeah, so like I said, it's a change. And San Antonio, they're back on the clock again, so we'll see who they pick up, and we'll continue to monitor that. But real
I
quick,
got
just want to talk about it. Yeah, what's
Hold
that?
on. Hold
I
on.
got Donovan Clinton, the center from UConn.
Okay, got you. Go ahead, Trey.
Listen, the coaching, JJ Redick, he shouldn't even be in this position. The worst thing you
Hmm.
can do as a coach is have a fucking relationship outside the damn coaching off the court because that's going to come into a conflict of interest. Where you going to fucking hang out at the mall? You can't be going no nightclubs with nobody on the road. You can't even be in that vicinity. It has to be a good coach and player relationship.
Hmm.
Normally, I
It's
would
the
agree with you,
NBA.
Trey.
This ain't the fucking come cry on my shoulder. Because what if things don't go right? What if he can't motivate them to play defense and they less than 500 at the All Star break? What people gonna say then? I
Yeah.
mean, I look at sports as a coach. You relate to your players in a different capacity than you would fellow coaches and players relate to players. But it has to be professional and respect. JJ, he's going to use a lot of the stuff that he learned as a player as his coaching philosophy. They're going to put a good coaching staff around him, a veterans coaching staff around him. If LeBron James doesn't buy into it, then he won't have a good career coaching. It won't be long at LA. But also, is the trend changing of coaches? Yeah. I think the players are going to have more say so because
Mhm.
you're talking about coaches who have a system and they have has had success in their system. More of these foreign players come in, they're not going to get the same pushback as the American players give the coaches. Once the LeBron leaves, the game is going to be different. For player, you see how they change the roof. If you ain't playing 75 games, don't be talking about you won't be an MVP or get none of these awards. You're gonna have to play all 82, and you ain't gonna be able to be going. You ain't gonna have as much say so. I think it's changing, but the players ain't gonna have that much say so. They're gonna have to shut up and play like they was told during the Trump era. I'm telling you, it's gonna be crazy.
It's, it's
Mm.
always been
Well,
it's
I
always
agree.
been
I
better
agree
than
with you, Trey. Like back,
It ain't the players, it's the players and the coach, Trey. I ain't talking about the players. Yeah.
it's the coach traditionally is a position of authority, I guess, for his team. The coach, the players listen to the coach for the most part. Today, it's a completely different generation, and Dante brought up it going all the way down to AAU. These players today, you have to like. I don't necessarily wouldn't recommend the approach that Reddick came with, but hey, just call me JJ, don't call me coach. But it makes
It's
sense
21 hours.
because of today's generation.
Mhm.
It's dude. the same dudes that you see in the everyday world about the youth and whatnot and how entitled they are. Well, those are the ones that's in the league right now.
Right.
So
So I think it might be
that's
a little different in that those guys who said don't come a coach, these are guys who knew him as a player. You know what I'm saying? So I think,
yeah. And him and LeBron are
because
the
he
same
just
way.
got out a couple years ago. So I mean, it's not like it's so. Yeah, for the rookie that they're going to draft tonight, will he just come and say, "Hey, call me JJ"? I don't know. But at the same time, they say you need to treat everybody the same. So I think, I think he was kind of saying he was, Joe Mazzulla, he's 35. So,
Yeah, 35. Yeah, I was about to bring that
but
up.
it'll definitely be interesting. And but I think he's a smart guy. But is he going to be? What staff is he going to build? And and ultimately who's going to be running? He's going to be running things. So yeah. So certainly it's certainly the era of the younger coach. I mean, the grizzled 50, 60-year-old, the Hubie Browns are back today. I don't think you're going to see those guys necessarily in the league. Dr. Jack Ramsey and those guys. I think we're long beyond those guys. So it's definitely going to be definitely a younger guy's going to be doing that. Let's just move on real quick. I just want to talk about. I know I guess the big trade that happened today, but the Knicks seems to be going all in. So again, they certainly traded for Nicole for Bridges from Brooklyn, and so they got a ton of So again, Mikal goes there. The Nets get unprotected 4 unprotected draft picks in 25, 27, 29, and 31. They got a pick swap in 28. So they definitely going all in on that one, and then they also signed Anunoby to a 5-year, $220 million contract as well. So it seemed like one they kind of got the band back together from Villanova, and so it seemed like they're definitely going all in. I don't know if they're going to have the money or whatnot. If they want, are they going to try to sign Brunson to a long-term deal or an extension? So we got to see, where all this money is coming from. But it seems like every time you turn around, guys who are good players, not great but good players, it's like $200 million. That seems to be the market right now. So I don't know, how when that money's going to run out. But the Knicks, they seem to make the first major moves of the going in before the draft started with these moves. So what are you guys thinking about the Knicks? And you think these were good moves or not?
I think it's a good move, but especially I didn't know they was able to get Anunoby back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got both of them. It's a hell of a move.
Yeah.
Now they finally was able to use those picks they've been kind of stockpiling. So
Right.
So and then on the flip side with the Nets, they clearly tanking, and then they made the trade with the Rockets. Basically, the Rockets basically trading. They was originally in a better position with their original trades, but they, in a nutshell, traded with the Nets to get the picks that the Suns lost when they traded for Durant. So you had people believing that the Rockets was looking to get Durant, but I'm hearing this morning because of the relationship with Durant and Ime Udoka, they have a cool relationship. They don't mind getting Durant, but the Rockets front office
Okay.
not really looking at Durant
Yeah.
because
He's
it's
too
not
old.
because Durant the player, it's because they like our team. Durant is a player that you got to put on the team to finish it off. The Rockets are not there yet, so they don't want to give all these draft picks for Durant. They're like, nah, honestly, we're not there yet.
He's too old.
So
He's too
that
old.
can be too. But with
Yeah.
the Knicks, because like I said, I didn't know they would re-sign Anunoby. I just looked it up and then y'all brought it up. I love the pick now because now at one time you was thinking, okay, you getting Bridges in case OG leave, but now you was able to get both of them, acquire both of them.
Yeah.
Bye bye to Julius Randle. I would say
Julius Randle will be back. He will be back. They'll be a fool to let him go. They will be a fool. Adobe, he's more defense.
A nice squad over there.
He ain't gonna get you 25 like Randall. Randall, he just got to get healthy. He has
That's
to
a big if, though.
But
That's a big if.
Exactly.
But his player,
You don't know what you're gonna get with Randall, man.
I mean, if y'all ever had a separated shoulder,
I'm just saying. Did you guys see him during the NBA Finals? The man looks 40 years old, man. I mean,
I mean,
he's got a lot of wear and tear on him, man.
nah,
Give
man,
me, give me OG before
the
him.
boy,
I'm just saying, he's got a lot of
weight.
wear. He's like, he's got a lot of wear.
just look
They already
on.
seen what they could do with Randall. They can't really do anything. It's like
Right, they need him
it,
back. Adobe, he can check your two. He's a defensive player that can check your 2 through 5. He can check all those positions. So his numbers there are needed. Bridges can get you 16, 17 any night that he's consistent. You got to have Randall because he's your high power scorer. And Brunson, let him do what he do. They just now they need to work on their bench. Maybe now this is me. I never liked Tom Thibodeau as a coach because he pushes his players too much in the season, and I think that always hurts him. This would be a good job for Sam Cassell to go get. I tell you that. But I'm just wishful thinking. But
I don't think they're going anywhere from Tip.
Yeah,
Trace. They should have traded Randall.
Coach right now.
no,
the trade is somebody they already joking. It's a joke going on. It was like, man, Mikal Bridges hasn't missed a game since 8th grade. And it was like Tom Thibodeau's in love, and I was like, yeah, he gonna play him. He gonna give him every minute. He ready to grow, and it's just like with you having 2 wings like that in a wing league, it's one of those where they may not. They're probably going with the build of, hey, we might not be able to have what you guys got, what y'all gonna have in Boston with the top 2 guys like that. But after the top 2, you would probably put both teams at this point. You probably put Brunson as the 3rd best player in those, and then after that, it's a mix between probably Drew Holiday and then Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. You know, then you got Dante DiVincenzo. So you gotta. It's a play where it's like, look, you can look at it and say, hey, if you stack our rosters up, we can go toe to toe. And now I'm more so if you use all the picks to go in for the star guy, but if you go in for Mikal Bridges, the Nets it finally paid off for getting him and then flipping him for those amount of picks. It's a lot, but you know the trade market has been messed up since the Gobert deal, and then it's all about leverage. They know teams want to make deals, and nobody wants their picks right now. So you know the Nets are stocking up their picks. I like that, but I like the aggressiveness of doing it. And now you got, you know, we were talking about it. You got to have guys that can play on both sides of the court, or they're going to expose you in the playoffs. And Mikal Bridges can do that. Or Anunoby can do that. Dante DiVincenzo can do that. You know, Josh Hart can do that. And like you said, as Julius Randle comes back, and they just have to figure out how they're going to make that fit. So him coming back helps the depth, and then they might not be able to keep Isaiah Hartenstein. I heard that they can only give him a certain deal because they can only have his early bird rights, but they still got Mitchell Robinson. So they got everything. They got the big centers that can go. You can go and play the small ball, or you know Bridges and Novi play the forwards. You know Randall. They got a lot of versatility. So it's like the Knicks have every right to be excited. I know people get like I saw a New York guy, an East Coast guy. I was on Twitter. He was just like, "Man, you Knicks fans are delusional." I was like, "Man, just let them have their moment right now. They're dominating with the move they made. You know, hey, it came up short when injured." But if Tom Thibodeau can figure out, hey man, let's manage his minutes. Let's make sure that they can make it to the playoffs healthy. You ain't saying load management, but you know.
I want to bring up one point real quick, because Dante, you brought it. I heard it when you was speaking. So you know, earlier we was talking about the status of college basketball and the lack of, I guess you could say, established players compared to what we starting to see overseas. You kind of see that now in the NBA because I don't. Maybe Mr. Benny, maybe you can remember. I don't remember teams just so willy nilly now trading 1st-round picks. It's like they just stocking and just trade. You know, in football, 1st-round picks is golden. I mean, if you trade 1st round, you get
that's your future. Yeah, you give a 1st round. Yeah, that could set you back 3-5 years.
It's just like here 1st-round pick for this year, next season, the season. You know, and I'm like, man. So it's clearly you can see it's not as coveted in the current NBA as it was in the past because the talent, you know, is just not. If you don't have, I guess, the 1st overall pick, it's like the drop off.
Right.
Unless you're just real good at developing players, because you can see how the league, they just trade all their 1st rounders like nothing.
Well, like I said, the question is it a drop off? Like you said, you know, you had your bona fide guys. You used to have the top 6, 7 guys to go in like almost in any order. Like the lottery used to be those top 6 or 7 guys would be, everybody would be fighting for. Now it's and also the pool has grown because you have more international players that that are also in the pool now. It doesn't matter and if all the players are going to be on the same level, then again you might be able to give up some first draft capital and still develop a guy down the line. Again, you have a bigger pool of resources to go from. The International League has certainly opened up things. So again, there's no surefire. Like I said, Wemby last year was like I said, an anomaly. But after him, it's like there's no sure shot. And go back a few years ago, I said it was like really two guys. It was Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. That was like the top. It was like who's going to get either one of those guys. I was the one who was saying you need to get Ja Morant because I didn't think and we've seen Zion's issues with weight and health and all that kind of stuff just being in the league and whatnot. So I just didn't think it would be. I just didn't think he would have a lot of longevity. But it's definitely the depth that we know about. And again, this also goes back again to the marketing of college basketball. If you don't let people get excited about, again, that top 5 or 6 guys and who's going to go first, and if these guys aren't going to be, front and center in your marketing and whatnot, it's going to be very difficult. So teams like, look, I'll take a guy lower in the draft or whatever, but give me some draft cap and I'll trade it. But again, you don't have that surefire guy that you're going to go after anymore. So I just think that that's where I think they need to do some work trying to clean that up because nobody, like I said, I'm kind of following. I know the guy I did know, Zach Edey, I think went to the Grizzlies. Again, he was kind of a name, but again, he's a big guy. He's like 7'2", 7'3", or something like that. So he's so again, the bigs are always. Yeah. So the bigs are, certainly they're going to get some love, but yeah. Before I go on, I'm going to switch, topics here because we didn't get to it last time, so I got to make sure I get my boxing in. So I got to do, and my man didn't show up, so I'm just going to kind of do the summary before the close of the show. But did you guys see or hear? I don't know if I shared it in the group chat, but you got this kid who's going to school. This guy's 7'9".
Yeah, I've seen him.
He's considered like the tallest player ever. It's going 7'9", and I saw some.
Going to Florida? Did he commit to
Florida? Yeah. 7'9", and so that's gonna be. So again, he's gonna be an anomaly. He doesn't seem very fast. Not. I mean, he towers over everybody. So we got to
test him.
We got to see if he can move. If he can move with those guys at the at the college level also. But yeah, but
same thing to Wemby. But Wemby been winning his battle, so they say,
this guy's bigger than Wemby. I mean, not only taller, but I mean, he's got some weight on him. The only thing I worry about with these bigger guys is again foot injuries, knee injuries, shin type of injuries. Wemby's paper thin. I was concerned about Wemby in terms of would he break or would they try to beat him up too much. So I don't know about this kid. I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing him, but that's just so hard to imagine. 7'9". I remember Manute Bol, and I remember the guy Bradley played for the Nets, and obviously Zhao Ming and all those guys. But this is another level, right?
That's another level. It's just being that tall, and like that's one player that I really like. That similar size as far as Wemby. I like Chet Holmgren, but I was scared of Chet Holmgren. And I was so scared, but now he's had an injury. He's had a big injury. Came back and he played a lot of good enough amount of games last year. And I'm like, okay, so I do like him, but it's just like I'm worried how is he gonna, you're gonna develop. And it's like you kind of gotta, since it's not so much banging anymore, but you still gotta add the muscle, and it'll come over time as they get older. But it'll be interesting to see that tall. Like they're gonna test him in college, but it's gonna be a deal where it's like, what's the guy that he was with Boston for a while?
You talking African dude. Geez, forgot his name.
One in the tournament.
Had like one of those single names, Bo something or geez. I'll figure. I'll figure it out.
It's so tall, it's hard for him to play, and move at that level. But it's gonna be interesting to see. But
now if I'm college basketball, See, this is now you got a guy who's going to be, if anything, he's going to be a what do you call it, an attraction. Whether or not he's going to be a good basketball player or not, I'll be following that very closely to see if that's somebody who you can build a following around and that people will want to at least tune in and watch. So again, he's going to be an attraction because 7'9", you don't have to sell that. But can he actually play? Trey's actually saying that, he's certainly much better than, Yao Ming and Bradley and those guys, that this guy actually has some game to him. If he can do that, then I would put on every game, every Florida game that every game that I could put on, I'd be following him all year. And I would just make him the face of college basketball if he can play, if he can really do some things on the next level. But I think you really have to put some stock. You have to put some stock into him. If he wants to play. So, but in any event, let's move on to the last segment of the show. We want to spend some time on. Again, we last week obviously the Celtics won in their 18th championship, one more than the Lakers. Last week. So we didn't get a chance to talk about boxing, but obviously, some big developments that have been happening in boxing. So I'm just going to go and kind of just do a summary of some of the things that are happening, particularly in the heavyweight and the lightweight divisions. Obviously, last month. Oh, there's my guy, Mandrell. So joining us for this last segment, and so I'm just going to do. I'm just going to do a hot. This is the last segment. So I saved the.
Last, Mr. Bennett.
Save the best for last.
It's gonna be
save the best for last. Save the best for last.
What were y'all talking about earlier?
Girls sports. So
yeah, exactly. Why? I don't see.
Hey, look, we got to go with the.
I don't understand it, but
we got to go. We got to go with the moment. So let me just. So I'm just gonna do my. This is gonna do my high level around the world of boxing. And we can kind of visit back any points that you want to hit or kind of circle back on. We can kind of go ahead and do that.
We had a wonderful past few months of boxing.
So we have. So I'm just going to talk about just the last few weeks, and because that's enough to go around. Obviously, there's this action going up. So we all know last month you had the much anticipated fight with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. And Ryan, he was tested positive for Ostarine, and he failed multiple times. So again, he had his moment before the New York Board Athletic Commission, and they were looking to suspend him, but he struck a deal. So again, he's been given a 1-year quote unquote suspension, and he had to pay $1.1 million back to Golden Boy Promotions. And the contest has been ruled a no contest. So again, Devin Haney's record remains unblemished, and still have to serve that 1-year suspension. But again, he struck a deal. So again, he's lied about everything. He blamed it on the ashwagandha. He's blamed it on the supercarb supplement. He blamed it on his BCAAs, and I think he just ran out of excuses. And so now the thing to see is Devin Haney, is he going to actually sue? Because Devin Haney, this is interesting the way boxing works, especially some of these boxing commissions. The WBC has actually gave Devin Haney less than 10 days to make a decision that he was going to fight the number one contender, Sandor Martin, or they were going to strip him of the belt. Now, again, this is the WBC, which, the acronym I'm using is We Back Chicanos. Because, again, if it was a Mexican fighter or a Latin fighter, Canelo, how many times has he gotten away with everything, missed deadlines and everything, and they don't touch the cash cow?
British fighters too. Look at Tyson Fury.
Yeah, so the
Even
WBC
in his fights, he gets special treatment during the fight. Like his last fight with Usyk, he got special treatment.
We talked about that.
Let Usyk knock him out. He
Absolutely.
Give him standing 8. No, come on. That's what I was like, Mr. Bennett, come on. I know it's a rule, but he gets too much special treatment, dude. He
understood.
Got special treatment in the first fight with Wilder.
Yes, he did.
And it was a WBC fight.
Yes. So they clearly picked because they actually backed Ryan. Yeah. Because the WBC, they said they were going to do their own investigation into trying to clear Ryan Garcia. So again, they're in the tank for Ryan. But again, Devin, They gave no support to him whatsoever. He said, let me just park the championship for a minute. Let me work some things out. I want to fight Ryan when he comes off suspension next year, which is certainly doable. I mean, these days fighters can take a year off. I mean, we had just Tank Davis for it. He was off for 14 months. Crawford fights next month, and he's been certainly out for well over a year. So a year is almost nothing for these fighters now. But he had to essentially put the title. What's that?
It hadn't been a year for Crawford. That fight just happened, September, October?
Last year?
When in 2023 they fought?
It was in 2023, but it was certainly it wasn't in the fall. It wasn't in the fall. I'll go back and get the look up box. Look while I'm doing my summary. You look up box where I can find the date when that fight was. But I think it's been over a year since they fought. But that being said, so in that picture you have Devin Haney. What happened with Devin Haney was there was a purse bid for the fight with Sando Martin. He only got $2.5 million in purse bid. Now, this is a guy who used to making $6 and $7 and $8 million a fight. And now he's only got $2.5 million. So he was looking to turn down the fight. But the WBC stepped in and said, look, we'll strip you if you don't fight him. They won't do this with Canelo. They won't do this with Tyson Fury. But they're doing it with Devin Haney. So Devin, I think, is going to sit out some time, wait the year, look to fight Ryan Garcia at 147. Should he come back? Should he be in the right frame of mind to fight? I don't think, quite frankly, it's worth even pursuing because you just never know what kind of Ryan Garcia you're going to get. So that's that drama that got settled last week. Then 2 weeks ago, we had the return of Gervonta Tank Davis, who fought Frank the Ghost Martin, undefeated fighter, good boxing ability, but you can argue that he had the KO of the year, where, again, as he typically does, he gives up the early rounds. I thought Frank Martin did a good job through the first 4 rounds, boxing, keeping him off. He landed, Tank's left side of his face started to kind of swell up a bit. But as he usually does, he sets traps. He sets you up. He started landing. 6th round, he started to take over. And then the 8th round, he got him in the corner. And he started landing these left-handed haymakers on him like he stole money from him. I mean, he got him to the corner. He threw a right, and then he came with this left uppercut that essentially knocked him out. He knocked him out with the left uppercut because he was just prone there. And then he comes with this left hook just to finish him off. I mean, just scary knockout. Hit his head on the canvas and everything. And so, clearly established himself as clearly the box office draw in boxing right now. I think I'll even put him over Crawford right now in terms of draw, because I think Crawford needs an opponent in order to draw. Crawford is fighting in July against a guy I've never heard of.
Yeah, but
no one's going to watch that fight.
I talked to someone earlier about this. Crawford is in a very precarious position where everyone knows he's the best. Everyone knows he can beat him, so no one wants to fight him. No big name wants to fight Crawford. And that's the unfortunate position he's in. It's like he's tapped Canelo. Canelo said publicly, "I don't want to fight him."
Right.
Charlo. He called Charlo out on camera by name. Right. I want you. Charlo says, no, I don't want to fight him.
Right. But Crawford is not, but Crawford has never been, despite his ability, he's never been a pay-per-view draw. Tank is.
That is the fault of Bob Arum. That is the fault of Bob Arum solely and completely. Because Crawford wanted Pacquiao, and Bob Arum tanked that fight for him. He tanked it. Mm-hmm. He kept that fight from happening. He wanted Spence earlier.
Right.
Bob Arum's excuse, nobody wants to see that fight. Nobody wants to see that fight. He said it publicly. Who's going to pay for it? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to see this fight.
But
that's why I told you. I hate Bob Arum. And for personal reasons, too, that I'm not going to get on to right now. I'll take a crack one of these days, Mr. Bennett. My story with Bob Arum.
Okay. We'll have a Bob Arum smoke show.
I got a question to you fellas real quick.
Yes, sir.
Because y'all just brought up, man, Jersey's been mentioning promoters are pretty much maybe the main reason in boxing why the big names.
It is the reason why fights that we want to happen don't happen.
That is true.
But y'all brought up a point about, in particular with Crawford, it sounds like fighters are choosing. They because he's so good in the ring, they don't want to fight him.
Yeah, and
I think it's two things. It's they don't want to fight him per se, but they're not. But again, he hasn't. And again, you can blame Aaron for this if you want to, and I'm not gonna fight you on that, but he's been away from Aaron for well over a year and a half, almost 1 year. He put in this independent promotion. This last fight, he wasn't under Aram, and he's not going to go under Aram going forward. He's not a money guy. Tank, though, when he fights, even though you may lose to Tank, you're going to get your biggest payday from fighting Tank. That's the difference. You'll get into the ring with Tank, even though you know you'll lose. Frank Martin made as much money as he's ever going to make in his career. Period. Also, when you're the draw, guys will go. I mean, guys fought Mike Tyson. No one ever going to get knocked out in the first round. But they made more money in that one night than they ever did in their career.
Let's be honest. People were under different mindsets back then. I think people are more health conscious these days. Okay, because no one in the right mind.
It's hard to find turn up.
I've always said for $20 million, I get in the ring with Tyson today. Untrained. Listen, no training. I'll jump in there right now.
The money's relative.
However, I'm not in
the money's relative. If you're fighting for 50,000, if your fights, you're making $50,000 or $100,000 a fight, and now you got a chance to make $1 million in one night. That's a difference. Crawford is not going to be the draw that's going to bring that for you. He's just not.
They have that chance with Crawford too. But here's the thing: to see Crawford fight any marquee fighter, people are going to pay to see that because he's cleared out the welterweight division. There's no one left for him to fight. He's cleared it out. So, and the thing
Boots in us.
That's no contest.
But also, still like to fight that, but still, that's the logical fight to make. You fight the guys in front of you.
Fair enough.
Fight Boots.
But here's the thing: Terrence Crawford has gotten a bad rep for no good reason. There was always an excuse about Crawford when people brought up Crawford to be number one pound for pound. He's not pound for pound. Who has he fought? He hadn't fought this person. He hadn't fought that person. Crawford lined all them people up, whooped the piss out of all of them, and then it comes to Spence. Okay. Everyone's like, Spence is going to be Crawford. Crawford can't. Spence would be too much for him. I'm like, no, he's not. I said, I
don't know too many people taking that.
I do. I know plenty of people. Everyone was saying it. Even
most boxing analysts, I know they had Crawford winning that fight. The picks going in was mostly Crawford.
They're full of crap. Stop talking about actual ESPN analysts. Okay, and they're telling me behind closed doors, I think Crawford's going to lose this one. His undefeated streak's going to be done, man. I'm like, okay, listen, and I said this from the beginning, if Spence doesn't get him out by the fourth round, Crawford's going to dominate.
But he was dominated. He never was in the fight.
Exactly.
It
was worse than I predicted.
Exactly.
It was worse than I predicted. So my thing is this: he has no one else. Boots, but we already know what's going to happen with that. But when Crawford was with Aram, and since then, Aram doesn't really promote his guys. Look what he did with Lomachenko.
Oh, okay. Speaking of that, let me just finish the landscape. All right, so we talked about Ryan, we talked about Devin, the Tank fight. Okay, now the fight with Lomachenko has basically been signed. It's happening in November of this year. Right, Lomachenko and this is going to be for the lineal. So again, Ring Magazine has what they call a lineal championship. It's going to be it's a unification bout, and it's going to be for the lineal title. Yeah. It's happening in November, and that's going to be for as long as it lasts, because Lomachenko doesn't go backwards, and neither does Tank. So again, that's going to be for as long as it is. I'll give it 4 rounds. But it's going to be an exciting. It's going to be the best fight that you can make in that time. I think they're both going to get off, but I think Tank's going to knock him out. But still, I'm paying to watch that fight. So again, that's November. Okay, so we got to have some preview shows on that fight as we get close to it. Just around the landscape, you have on July 6th. You have Shakur Stevenson returning to the ring. I'm just saying, just fights around the periphery because these guys are going to meet up eventually. Shakur Stevenson fights on July 6th against a no-name opponent. I don't even know who this guy is. Again, but Shakur, he's in Newark.
He has no one else left to fight him. Shakur Stevenson,
Davis,
Terrence Crawford.
And you also have Teofimo, who fights, I believe, this. He fights this weekend. Teofimo fights this weekend.
But the only people watching Teofimo are Latins. That's it.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Look, the lads are going to draw half your audience. They're going to draw half your audience.
That's true. I agree. But Lopez, he's too wishy-washy. He's
talented.
He's an above average boxer
Mhm.
who doesn't box the way he can. Like he's
True.
a lot more talented than he shows in the ring.
True. Well, we saw it against
He's a
we
lot
saw it
more
against
talented than he shows in the
Lomachenko.
Yeah,
We saw that
exactly.
talent against Lomachenko. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And my thing about that, Loma and Tank, if I may, Loma starts way too late sometimes.
but
He
so does
starts too
Tank.
late. He
But so does
starts too late.
Tank.
Not like Loma though. It's like Loma has chances in the first, second, and the first 3 rounds to really step on the gas and put pressure on that person. He doesn't do it at times that he should though. I'm just like, oh my! But Tank, yeah, Tank.
They're both slow starters. They like to figure you out. They like to figure out the combination, find the key, unlock it, and then put it on you towards the middle, towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, Crawford, he does need to go up. But the people in the higher weight classes, again, they're on camera. Shawnee, these guys are on camera, marquee fighters. And the golden boy of boxing right now, everyone's trying to say has been saying, was it Canelo? Right? Canelo, I don't want to fight you. I'm not interested in the fight. Who wouldn't pay to see that fight? That would be the biggest fight in like the past 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Crawford versus Canelo.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So to say Crawford's not a draw, it's not Crawford's fault because people are running.
But it's just
there's situations where PBC kept their fighters away from Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's situations
that is
where
true.
Bob Arum himself, Crawford's promoter, kept fighters away from Crawford. You know what I'm saying? So it's not Crawford's fault per se. Now Crawford's made some dumb decisions, some decisions I wouldn't have made.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
So it ain't all. I'm not saying Crawford's scot-free here. No, he made some decisions I wouldn't have made. But I do understand the brother's position, and now he's in a position now where people literally, it ain't about the money.
Right.
People are concerned about their record.
Although I think the if Costazu didn't get upset, I think that would have been the fight to be made.
Costazu?
Yeah.
Hey, well, let me ask you, because I didn't talk to you in a minute. Adrian Broder says that he retired from boxing. I think he should have just retired 5 fights ago.
Oh, well, I wasn't even going to mention that. He fought Blair Cos. Again, Blair is not the greatest fight, but he knocked him down, bro. He broke his elbow and lost a tooth in the fight as well afterwards. But then the fight never should have happened. See, you'll entertain that stuff. I don't. All right.
But wait, Mr. Bennett. Here's what all the
Look, say something about that was going to be like a clown show or something before the fight.
It was.
I told it was, and the fight, and the fight even more so because Blair, even after he knocked him down, it was in the second round he knocked him out. He couldn't finish him off, right. and still, but he fought. So he fought the first of the fight with a broken elbow for the rest of the fight, and Blair couldn't finish him.
But here's my thing, Mr. Bennett. Yes, fellas, this is how sad that fight was. Okay, Mr.
Bennett,
you're right.
I told you.
Listen. Blair Cobbs knocked him out so nasty to like it because I went back and I like kind of played pause, like did it in slow mo. He literally knocked Adrian off of his feet. Adrian when he went back, his feet left the canvas like this.
Mm-hmm. Like and he landed wrong on his elbow and he broke it.
Yeah, and he landed wrong on his elbow and he broke it, right? His tooth and his mouthpiece flew out of his mouth.
Yeah.
In the air. Okay, he got knocked out like that. And Cobbs is such an untalented, such a mediocre boxer. He couldn't finish that guy off.
Nope.
The guy was done. Broner was done in the second round, and Cobbs couldn't finish that guy.
Couldn't finish him. Yeah.
So that's how mediocre of an opponent Blair Cobbs was. And plus, Blair Cobbs had been out of the ring for what, 2 years, and so there's ring rust there, and Broner couldn't beat that guy.
Yeah,
Broner should have retired 5.
Wasn't worth wasn't worth watching. I watched the highlights of that fight or whatever, but I didn't put a lot of I didn't put a lot of stock in it. I didn't put a lot of stock in it because come on, man. I mean,
okay, I'll be honest.
Y'all brought up a point that fighters are avoiding other key fighters because they weren't about their win-loss.
They weren't about a record. They want championship.
But like I said, it's a combination. It's win-loss record and money. If I'm gonna put my win loss on the record, and I'm not gonna get paid, like I said, you're not gonna get paid with Crawford unless the sheik from Saudi Arabia comes in and says, "Look, I'm gonna guarantee you guys get 10 million or whatever." That's the only way this stuff's gonna happen. But he's not a draw in and of himself.
It's still millions. Here's the thing. Okay.
No, it's not.
Here's the thing. Yes, it is.
Against who?
Anyone.
No, it's not. The guy he's going to fight now is going to get peanuts. I doubt that Crawford's getting unless it's Sheik money. He's not getting more than $2-3 million for this fight.
No,
it's not.
Here's the thing.
Again, if the Sheik is funding the fight, he'll get some money. But I'm just saying. But he's not a draw. He's not a draw anyone else. Tank is unquestionably the draw. More than Usyk, more than Fury, than anybody else in boxing. He is guaranteed $25-30 million purses. In fact, he just signed a deal with Amazon worth like $2.25 million.
Who did this?
That's the Amazon deal he just signed.
Right.
So I'm saying Tank Davis is the most exciting fighter in boxing right now. Crawford is the most talented. I'll still give you that. But as far as box office attraction, guys will fight. All these guys want to fight Tank. Loma wants to fight Tank. Shakur wants to fight Tank. Teofimo wants to. All these guys would line up in a minute if they could fight Tank because they know they're going to get paid more than they've ever gotten paid in the past. That's the difference. I'm not going to put my win-loss record up and make $500,000.
Yeah, Crawford fought Kell Brook. This guy, the British guy I was talking about. He made $4 million out of that fight. Now he earned $4 million. Now per ESPN, Crawford made about Kell Brook made $4 million. Crawford made about $6 million, according to ESPN.
I don't believe that at all.
Yes. Now
that wasn't even a pay-per-view. That wasn't for a non-pay-per-view fight. Yes. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that.
You know how much money is thrown around in boxing?
I don't believe not for a non-pay-per-view fight. You got pay-per-view fighters don't make that kind of money.
Yeah. Because they ain't fighting Terrence Crawford. Now, here's the thing. Crawford confirmed he received $10 million for his fight against Sean Porter. Yes. And Porter's not going to get in the ring if he's not making millions, especially later in his career. Because against Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter, that was his last fight against Terrence Crawford. And it was time he should have retired. He's got other stuff going on. He's got the contract with like being an analyst and stuff like that. So he didn't need the fight money. He's a multi-division world champion. You know what I'm saying? The whole nine. That's my thing. Like just like with Errol Spence, you don't need the money, bro. You got
just a clarification though. The fight with Errol Spence, that was July 29th of last year. So we're coming up on a year. So we're coming up almost a year.
Yeah. And remember back then I said Terrence Crawford, the world is his oyster now. After he beat the man in Errol Spence. And Errol Spence was the man, you know, and he dogged him. Fellas, he did him bad, fam. Crawford did him bad.
He beat up the boy from Texas, though.
He had to. He had to do it that way to prove a point.
Listen, I love Crawford. I'm not saying in fact, I think Crawford, if any fighter, he deserves to be making top dollar. So this is no hate on Crawford. I'm just saying the reality is everybody wants to fight Tank Davis. Everybody, that's true. Because he's the money guy. He's the money man in the sport.
I'll give you that. He is. Him and Canelo, for whatever reason, him and Canelo are the biggest two draws in boxing. But in Crawford,
well, Canelo brings a country with him, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that's the thing.
But here's the thing.
That's what I agree with Mentor. Yeah. If Canelo will fight Crawford.
Who wouldn't pay to see that?
But he's not gonna. But again, he's not gonna get. See, with him, it's about his. It doesn't matter what kind of money. He's like royalty in Mexico, and I think certainly Crawford has the skills to beat him, and he does not want to go out like that. So again, for him, it's all about reputation.
And the thing is, with Charlo knows Crawford wants to fight him because Crawford has a point to prove against him too. Terrence does not like Charlo, and it's because Charlo's fake. He is. Let's be honest.
Which Charlo are you talking about? The one that got his out of box, right? I think he had a DR. Was that the other Charlo brother, or which one are you talking about? The bigger one, right?
Yeah, Jamil, the one who had the chance to unify the title, but then got a draw. The guy who fought Canelo Alvarez, the one who fought Alvarez just a couple of months ago, but then lost to Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? To Canelo.
He came up from 150. Yeah, he came up from 154.
Right. It's just and he's not as good a boxer as he's more hype than talent, far more hype than talent. Now that's the one Terrence doesn't like because he is fake in real life. Like he'll say one thing now, but behind your back he's talking shit. Okay, it's one thing to prove, because here's an example, fellas. Just one example. It's one thing to say, okay, me and Terrence Crawford are friends, but I think Errol Spence will beat him. That's one thing. But it's another if I say, okay, Dante, you and I are boys, and I think you're going to win the fight. I think you're going to win it. You got it, this, that, and the other. But then I go to Shawnee and say, Shawnee, that nigga Dante sucks. He ain't got shit. He gonna get his ass whooped. Blah blah blah. His kids ugly. His mama ugly. His breath stank. You know what I'm saying? All this nonsense, right? I'm talking trash about Dante behind his back, you know. But that's who Jermell Charlo is. Jermell Charlo is, you know. And the thing is, even though Terrence whooped Errol Spence the way he did, Terrence always respected Spence, and he still does to this day. You know, it's just when he got in the ring with Spence. That is your night to prove your point for both men. Let's prove who's the best, okay? And that's my night. Now, Shawnee, we in the ring. I got a point to prove. I got to show everybody that this is the night. This is the fight to determine who is the greatest in the division, and it's a fight to unify all titles. Okay, there's so much on this. So you and I both got to bring our A game. Crawford's A game was. And it doesn't take away from Spence. Spence is a great fighter, but there's levels to greatness. Like there's levels to all.
There is.
You know what I'm saying? And Crawford just proved that night. And Crawford even stepped off the gas. He pulled back and still did that.
Absolutely.
You know. So
let me summarize here because I know we're almost at the end of the show.
These fighters are running. They really are legit, and in everyone's face, running from Terrence Crawford.
That is true,
and it ain't just about money.
Right. Last couple of points I want to make. Again, I would still urge everybody. Again, Lopez fights this guy Claggett in Miami. It'll be on ESPN. It's this weekend. I'm only putting him out there because again, he's going to be a possible. Basically, I'm tracking all the possible opponents for Tank. All right. So again, I think Lopez will still be in there if he keeps winning. He fights this weekend on ESPN. Free fight. So again. So check. I'm just saying, check it out. As long as he stays relevant, he's got a potential opponent for Tank. So I'm a Tank tracker right now. So who's on the periphery who Tank could fight? That's who I'm looking at, or for Shakur for that matter. Because I think if Lopez then fights Shakur, and maybe if the winner of that then fights Tank or something, that kind of combination, then then you could be talking about something you can build up for.
Here's the thing: it depends on how Lopez loses to Tank. Like if he fights Tank first and then goes to Stevenson. How much money that's going to draw is going to depend on how bad he loses the Tank.
Well, I think Stevenson needs an impressive win also because he was not impressive in his last fight. So he needs an impressive win. And I think if he goes and if he gets the title from the other Ukrainian fighter, he gets that. So, again, you can have if Tank beats Lomachenko and then Shakur beats the other Ukrainian fighter, then you have a fight for undisputed. I think you can certainly get some. I think you could definitely get some extra on that fight. Then Tank and Shakur, I think that'll definitely be for undisputed and the lineal because again the Loma fight is for the lineal championship. I think you can certainly sell that fight. Right. But
I don't think Lomachenko is talented. Now here's the thing, fellas. Lomachenko is talented. Is super talented.
Yes, he is.
Super skilled. Ring IQ out of this world. I still don't think he has the goods for Tank, though.
It doesn't matter. It'll be a great fight, though.
It'll be a great fight.
So you can't be thinking about it. A fight doesn't have to be 50-50. It just has to be great. If you get knocked out in 2 or 3 rounds, but give me 2 or 3, give me Hagler Hearns. Right?
I was about to bring that up.
Hagler Hearns, it doesn't matter. It was a great fight.
Look at that fight. Here's the thing. Now, that's when 2 great fighters, they win at each other like alley cats from the opening bell. And listen, and it only lasted 3 rounds.
That's it. And it's one of the greatest fights in history.
Yeah, arguably the greatest 3 rounds in boxing history, period.
Absolutely.
Arguably. Okay, these guys, that wasn't a boxing match. That was an actual fight.
Yes.
That was the fight where they just, as soon as bell ring, they
just went at it. Yeah, totally.
Toe to toe.
Yeah, a great fight doesn't have to go 12 rounds and and whatnot in 7 rounds to 5. No, a great fight can be in short order as long as you had. I think the fight has the potential for that kind of action. It may not happen when the first 3 rounds. Again, these guys typically warm up after 4 or 5 rounds. That's when the fight may happen at that point. But I still think it's going to be a great fight, even though I got Tank the favorite going in.
I do too.
But there's one more fight. I got to talk about your favorite guy. All right?
Okay.
Fight that just got made, and this will be close out with this. Fight just got made. Your favorite fighter, Anthony Joshua. All right, he's going to be fighting in September because again, your guy. Because again, we talked about this on the last time you were here. We talked about Usyk and Fury, and we talked about what the IBF was going to do. Right?
Yeah, they made him.
So they said they stripped. So they stripped Usyk of the IBF title. And now you had Daniel Dubois just came off a victory off another top ranked guy. So now him and Joshua, they're going to fight for that championship in UK, in Wembley. Right? Now, regardless of what you say about these fighters, it's going to be a massive fight because one, it's 2 British fighters. It's going to be in Wembley. And you still, the winner of that is either going to fight Fury or Usyk because they're going to have their rematch sometime in September also. So you got those 2 fights going on in September. And then the winner of those 2 are going to fight for the fight again for undisputed.
Yeah, so they're gonna fight against Usyk. But the winner of the AJ, so it's going to be AJ and Usyk for undisputed. Okay, because Fury's not going to get past Usyk. He's not.
You gotta see about Dubois. Look, you gotta see about Dubois. Look, first of all, so wait a minute. You constantly put down AJ. So why you think it's a 50-50 fight? The way I look at it now, it's a 50-50 fight going into it.
AJ.
Dubois has looked look, people said he beat Usyk. First of all, I know styles make fights, but Joshua lost to Usyk twice. Yes. And most people think that Dubois beat Usyk with a body shot. They called it a low blow, but that was a legit body shot, and he knocked him out with that body shot. But they didn't give it to him, and he wound up getting knocked out later on. So and then his last 2 fights, he looked impressive. So again, he's earned this shot, and I'm thinking he's earned the shot. And Joshua's chin is suspect, as you know that chin is suspect. Yeah. So again, he's got it. So again, but as far as British boxing, I know we're not the biggest fans of British boxing, but next to the Joshua Fury fight, this is arguably the biggest fight, heavyweight championship fight, arguably in British history.
Here's the thing, fellas. Just so you know,
but am I right or wrong? Hang up before you on. Am I right or wrong?
Before I move on, correct.
Okay.
So far, now if Usyk loses to Fury, then the Fury AJ fight would be the largest fight in British history.
Yes.
That's going to be in Wembley. Okay? Yes. And it's going to be for all the marbles and the whole 9 yards because they love Tyson Fury over there. Mm-hmm. So, fellas, the reason why the IBF is stripping Usyk is because there's a rematch clause in his contract in their contract when they fought for undisputed, right?
Correct.
So when Fury activated the rematch, someone else was up for a title shot with the IBF. And remember when I told you guys months ago?
And that was the guy who Dubois just beat.
Right. Now, remember I told you, everyone here about the IBF, they're the only legitimate sanctioning body in boxing. They have very strict rules and they fold for no one. As you see here, the guy just won undisputed. If he has a rematch clause in the contract, they have every reason to give leeway to Usyk, right? And give him a break and let him have his rematch, then satisfy his mandatory. They have every reason to do that. But they have very strict rules. They don't care how much money you try to pay him and bribe him with. They do not give a shit about that. You will not bribe them. You will not get out of the rules. They stick to their rules and they fold for no one. They're the only there's no BS with them. You will satisfy your mandatory or get stripped. And he is in a position where he can't satisfy his mandatory. He literally can't do it. So they're like, okay, cool, no problem. Fight for it again later.
Right. And Dubois just beat the guy because again, it was Filip Hrgovic. So they gave him the title. He was the interim champion, and Dubois just knocked him out. So he's earned this shot.
He's earned
for the championship. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Certainly seeing in the chat here. So again, KP, shout out to KP from KC, says Shakur will beat Tank. Okay, so that's going to be certainly an interesting.
No, I don't think so.
Should they come on? And then Marcus Antonio Castillo, he disagrees. So he doesn't think that Shakur could beat Teofimo. So that's why I'm keeping those guys in the discussion, because it's Tank, Shakur, Lomachenko, Teofimo. The other Ukrainian fighter, I don't think he beats any of those guys, so I'm not even going to mention his name.
Yeah,
but that's going to be the mix we're going to see over the next 12 to 18 months. We're going to see those guys in the mix. The guy who comes out of that is going to be the undisputed lineal champion at lightweight at 135. And nobody's going to be able to challenge there. The only guy who might be able to come up and do some challenge is if the Japanese guy anyway comes up from 126. If he wants to challenge at 135,
anyway comes up.
We'll see if he wants to do that.
Everybody's in trouble.
We'll see.
Everybody's in the list. I promise you. If Inoue comes up from 125, all this Tank Davis and Shakur Stevens, all this stuff we're talking here.
Now that's crazy. He got knocked down his last fight. So I mean, he Monster. Anyway, he got knocked down early on he came back and knocked the guy out, but he got knocked down though.
He got knocked down, but no.
And he's going to be moving up, Tank Davis punches. Right. No, right. I mean that. So we got to see. We got to see.
I like Inoue. Maybe I'm being a little biased, fellas, but I like Inoue. I like Inoue.
It is a little bit.
Yeah. It just because I know this is final thoughts right here. Final thoughts. I hate to say it, but I think AJ is gonna win. I hope he doesn't. I really hope fellas. I hope AJ gets knocked out. I don't want him to win. I don't like AJ, but unfortunately, when it comes to heavyweight division, the two actual champions, as far as character and personality goes, number one is Usyk. Number two is AJ. As far as character goes, as far as being a man about it and handling things with grace.
He's praying for AJ. He's praying for AJ to lose, right?
Yeah, I'm praying for AJ to lose, though.
I'm saying it's a 50-50 fight.
I just don't think the boss is going to beat him. AJ is his ring IQ. He's stupid.
So you want him to lose. You want him to lose. Every time you build a case for him to lose, but then you're gonna still pick him to win. Go with your gut.
Have I been wrong about him yet?
Go with your gut.
I want him to lose. I just don't think these people. They just put him in the ring with you. He's gonna lose to except Usyk and Fury. He ain't gonna beat Fury. I don't think he's gonna be. If Fury takes the fight seriously, because Fury's not even taking this rematch with Usyk seriously. Usyk's already watching tape of his last fight with Fury already, and this fight is not until later this year. Usyk's already watching tape, so I mean, and Fury's out there getting caught on camera getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, dude, he's out there getting pissed drunk. But yeah, the Lomachenko Tank Davis fight, I'm looking forward to. I say Tank Davis wins. Loma,
but that's in November, so we got time to build up for that. But I know the fight again, it just got announced, just like what the Dubois and AJ fight just got announced this past week. So that's why to kind of lead off with those. But again, Teofimo fight this weekend. I think again, just so he stays relevant. Yeah. So he'll stay relevant, and watch Shakur fights on July 6th is the Shakur fight. So again, those are going to be the most likely opponents for any of those guys. Those guys are in the undisputed kind of mix. So again, just stay tuned for those guys. But again, final thoughts on my end. Again, I'm glad that Ryan got suspended. It should have been longer, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, but here's a weird part about that, because I did want to comment on that. My girl, Baumgartner, Alicia Baumgartner,
right.
She popped up hot. But what the WBC does is they try to figure out, did you do it on purpose or not?
Yeah, she got slapped on the wrist.
And she got a slap on it because she really didn't do it on purpose. They went to the company that manufactured that stuff, and they did have some contaminated samples and stuff like that, and products that were contaminated. So that's what got her off. And I don't think she's taking anything in it. This whole thing with Garcia, I was like, yeah, it doesn't look like he did it on purpose.
No, but he called out every product, and every company came out with the samples of the product to prove that it wasn't tainted.
Exactly.
So
now, when that happened, when the companies came back with their samples of the product, that's what gave Baumgartner off. but it didn't work this way with Ryan because those companies they produce evidence,
Absolutely.
and it's like, hey, I'll
Put
start
up or
this
shut
company.
up. Put up or shut
And
up.
so Garcia is like, I don't know why you would try that anyway, because one of the substances he popped up hot with was to bring testosterone down. So I was like, bro, you didn't even know what you were doing. You were just taking shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't use that to get an advantage.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yo, I don't. Yeah, you didn't even know what you were doing in this one. My bad, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No problem. But again, I think boxing's in good shape right now. The last year plus, we've had some great fights and whatnot. So I think definitely, I think it's drawing a lot of crowds. I think, again, Tank is the face. He just signed a big deal. Congrats to Tank. Signed a big deal with Amazon. And but for him, I think it's important, stay active and stay fighting. I mean, don't take another year off. Glad you got the shot in November. And I think we haven't seen the best of Tank quite frankly. So,
Same
definitely he's must see TV, and definitely looking forward to that. So thanks guys for giving me the space to bring up boxing again. We had 2 weeks build up, so I had to kind of go back and bring this all up. But certainly we can go to the other guys. Shawnee, if you want to give your final thoughts for the show, and we'll just go around and close out.
My final thoughts. I just been peeking, as a draft, as I've been doing the show. It just, I guess I want to say the shine or something that the draft once had. It just amazing. Remember, this year is the first time they doing two nights,
For sure.
and it's just not the same. I mean, you watching, you happy for the players that's getting drafted. They getting life. It's life changing, but it's just not the same. It's completely fell behind the NFL draft. So pretty much by the time I get off the show today, that's probably when I turn off the TV from the draft. It just don't.
Yep,
It's not
absolutely.
keeping my attention that long.
Wake me up in the morning, unless there's a major blockbuster trade or somebody did something crazy or whatever.
So far,
I can't see it happening.
So far, no. I guess it is. It show you something where I know we was talking about it at the beginning of the show. The lack of names. Well, the player that's getting the most attention is a player that's potentially going to be drafted in the second round. So
that's nepotism for you, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dante.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're right, Johnny. I mean, as far as the draft, like I'm looking to see who the Lakers got because basically what I heard is the draft was so bad and everybody was trying to trade their picks. There was too much in the market, so the Lakers are kind of like forced. I think they just took a kid from Tennessee, and I'm like looking up about him because I've heard of him, but I just couldn't remember what school. So it's interesting to see, more so for the moves. I want to see with the draft happening. I know there's NBA rules as far as if once the player signs the deal, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you trade them. With the draft being the night two, I think it's going to be kind of like with the NFL draft where they have the night two, and you see more trades happening. Teams reset their board. So I'm interested to see what deals didn't happen tonight might happen tomorrow. And it's just I know the offseason going right into it. So hopefully everything kind of just gets more exciting with some more trades. I know some of the trades with picks have happened. But I'm just looking. I'm not going to watch much tomorrow because it's just like round two was kind of like guys that those contracts aren't guaranteed. So these guys are either two-way guys or you'll have your Draymond Greens, you probably won't have your Nicole Jokic. That's like a one in a lifetime type of situation. But I'm just interested to see just because I still love the sport, but I hate that this isn't a year with a lot of glitz and glamour. I know next year's draft that's kind of happens. It's sweet sauce. Some years are solid. Some years will look to be great, like last year, and then some years are down, like this year. So hopefully, it's
Dante,
more
you may
exciting.
not watch it. You may not watch the draft tomorrow, but I guarantee you your phone will blow up with notifications if Bronny gets drafted.
Oh yeah, when Bronny gets drafted, it's gonna blow up. But my thing is, I know what Rich Paul has said. Rich Paul, you can say a lot, and I know people. And I'll just get on this and I'll land my plane here. I know people say a lot about the nepotism with Bronny and things of that nature. I totally understand that. It happens all the time with NFL draft picks. With the later the draft, you pick your destination and say, like, hey, don't worry, I won't be drafted. You go to another place, you get an extra 25,000 or whatever they want if it's a market for you. A guy like he's still in Austin Reeves, he was gonna get taken by the Pistons. He turned it down. He was like, no, thank you. I'll be undrafted. Went undrafted, went to a program with the Lakers, and cash in on his deal last year. These things aren't uncommon, but since it's Bronny, it's going to be like people don't look at it, and they're just oh, it's this, it's nepotism, but it's also a lot of players that pick where they're going to go. He's going to be a two-way player. I don't care what Rich Paul says. He's going to be on a two-way deal.
Awesome. Trey, closes out.
Well, the Lakers did get their draft pick that they wanted, apparently. The guy out of Tennessee.
I actually like him. I like him.
The guy that got drafted before them, listen, this is a scary time for professional sports. This guy shows up with 2 brooches on his jacket and some all black fingernail polish. So this is the new age of the sports.
I should have known it'd be Trey to bring that up.
So just be careful, guys. This is summertime. Start getting your asses in shape so everybody can be prepared for the next season coming up. We got the baseball season is in high gear. Shout out to all the baseball players, fucking tennis. Shout out to the tennis players, golf. Get your ass outside, exercise, man. Get in good shape. So when football season roll around, you'll be ready for the game. Basketball season is yet to be seen. Who's going to be the man going into the future? We still got some candidates. But listen, man, this is sports, man. It's forever changing, man. You got a son, shit, a nephew, show their ass how to play some football first, and everything else will come second. Even boxing, that shit will come out the football. Other than that,
slow down.
Prepare yourself, man. If I see any y'all with fingernail polish, man, we're going to have problems. I don't want your kids, nobody.
Yeah, boxers don't do that. Basketball players do, though. They wear nail polish.
Well,
yeah.
And on that note, again, thank you once again, everybody, for joining that one-on-one sports show. And again, shout out to the chat again, KP from KC coming in. Poppy, you're late to the show, but always good that you stopped in and saw us to support you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week on another edition of the One-on-One Sports Show. You guys take it easy. Take care.